Hi guys. Thought I would continue with the look at some poems which are important for me and for an understanding of the meters of English poetry. Last time we were looking at the most common meter in the English poetry, which is iambic pentameter. That was a unit of unstressed stressed. And we said that Shakespeare uses it all the time in his plays and in his poems. However, there are many meters in the English language, and a real poet should be master of all of them, I think. Um, One is the dactyl. The dactyl. This is a stressed syllable followed by unstressed, unstressed. So stressed syllable followed by unstressed, unstressed. And I want to look at a poem today by Thomas Hardy called The Voice, which illustrates this. The poem is about his dead first wife who he cheated on. And he's walking in the poem. He is the basic scenario is he is walking across the moor to his home, and he hears the wind, and he thinks it's the voice of his dead wife, and this creates all sorts of feelings in him of guilt and remorse, and he remembers the times when they were close together, when he loved her, and there is regret, and this dactylic meter gives the poem a kind of eerie quality. So perhaps first of all I should read the first verse. Right, so The Voice by Thomas Hardy. Woman much missed, how you called to me, saying that now you are not as you were, when you had changed from the one who was all to me, but as at first when our day was fair. So, can you see the dactylic meter? Woman much missed how you called to me. Woman much missed how you called to me. Stressed, unstressed, unstressed. Each foot, each poetic foot, each unit of the line is three syllables long in this case. Stressed followed by unstressed, unstressed. Woman much missed how you called to me, called to me. So we see there are 12 syllables in that first line, and there are 4 feet. So 4 feet of three syllables each. Woman much missed how you called to me, called to me. That's the dactyl meter then. It has this kind of fascinating impetus to, to, to press us forward. And I think it also is suitable in this case because it has a kind of eerie quality as well. It's not a common meter in the English language, so the fact that it's unusual strikes the ear as well. Second line, saying that now you are not as you were. Well, that's dactylic meter too, but it's a bit shorter. Saying that now you are not as you were. Only 3 feet in that line. So this is the pattern of the poem. 4 feet followed by 3 feet, but always in a dactyl meter, which is stressed, unstressed, unstressed, every unit like that. Woman much missed how you called to me, saying that now you are not as you were. And then that pattern is repeated. When you had changed from the one who was all to me, when you had changed from the one who was all to me, but as at first when our day was fair. So it's 4 feet of the dactylic meter followed by 3 feet of the dactylic meter. 4 feet followed by 3 feet. So that's the quatrain, 4 lines, and the rhyme scheme. Woman much missed, how you called to me, saying that now you are not as you were when you had changed from the one who was all to me, but as at first when our day was first. So it's A B A B, isn't it? A B A B. So it has this eerie, otherworldly kind of quality, the dactylic meter, and it kind of pushes the narrative forward in a very strong way. Let's what about the meaning of it? So woman much missed. So in this case, he's saying the woman, his ex-wife, is missed, and the voice is saying to him that she is not as she used to be. So not like she was at the end of the relationship when they had problems, but as she was at the beginning when they loved each other, saying that now you are not as you were when you had changed from the one who was all to me. So later she changed, she was not the same, they didn't get on together anymore. But as at first, when our day was first, so she's changed back in his mind to the person she was when they first met. This is the voice, or is it the wind? Let's read the second stanza. Can it be you that I hear? Let me view you then, standing as when I drew near to the town, where you would wait, yes, as I knew you then, even to the original air blue gown. So we still have this dactylic meter, don't we? Can it be you that I hear? Let me view you then, standing as when I drew near to the town, where you would wait for me, yes, as I knew you then, even to the original air blue gown. Occasionally the meter changes just a little bit because just to, to make sure that it doesn't get too predictable. Just throw in a few syllables which are not in the dactylic meter. What can we say about this verse regarding the content? So he's asking, is it really you? Is this voice that I'm hearing? Is it really you come back from the dead? Let me see you. He wants to see us standing in the same place where standing standing as when I drew near to the town, standing in the same place that she used to wait for him. Even in the original dress, the original air blue gown. So again, the emphasis is on going back to an earlier time when they had a beautiful time together, and not referring to the later days when it wasn't like that. Let's continue. Or is it only the breeze in its listlessness, travelling across the wet mead to me here, you being ever dissolved in existlessness, heard again never, far or near? I actually changed that back to the original that Hardy wrote, because he changed the word existlessness to one wistlessness, which is not really very good, I don't think. But existlessness is what we call a neologism, an invented word. So I think this is excellent. And he should have left it the same. So when I read the poem, I always read it in the original format. So he's asking the question: is it not? Maybe it's not your voice. Maybe it's just the breeze, the wind, traveling across the wet mead to me here. Because after all, you are dead. You are ever dissolved in existlessness, and as such, people don't come back after they die. So heard again, never, far or near. So you have this tragic note, which is typical of Hardy. It must be my imagination. No, it can't really be your voice. It's just my imagination running away with me. So, yeah. So first of all, it's hopeful that perhaps voice he hears isn't just the wind, but really his dead wife come back. And then he thinks, no, that sort of thing doesn't happen. It's probably just the breeze. And then the structure of the poem kind of falls apart completely. The last verse is in different meter and much more simple. Thus I, faltering forward, leaves around me falling, wind oozing thin through the thorn from Norwood, and the woman calling. So completely deserted, this dactylic meter at the end, and it's almost like the incantation, the spell of the voice has suddenly left him alone on the wet moor, and now he just has to make his way home, tragically alone, without the support of his dead wife. So yeah, it's like, so the dactylic meter creates this spell, this sense of magic, incantation, supernatural, someone come back from the dead, and then it all falls apart in the last stanza, which is not dactylic anymore. Thus I, faltering forward, leaves around me oozing, leaves around me falling, wind oozing thin through the thorn from Norwood, and the woman calling. So the structure has completely fallen apart at the end. And I would suggest that the whole thing is built on the idea of an incantation, a spell that has gotten a hold of the writer. He thinks that his dead wife has come back, and we don't know if it was really her voice or just the wind. Probably it was the wind, because these things don't happen so often. Probably his mind was overactive or thinking about her at this time. So we can say that there are definitely feelings of guilt and remorse here. The wish that things had turned out differently, and he can't tell her that he's sorry. He has to just go home. It's not really her. Probably it's just the wind. So you have this tragic ending, really. But the use of the dactylic meter is genius, really, and you can see the dactylic meter in some other famous poems too, like The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward into the valley of death, rode the 600. So that's famous, but it's not nearly as good a poem as this one. It's quite effective because the dactylic meter gives the effect of the galloping horse hooves, but this is much denser and much more philosophical, and I think a masterly use of the dactylic meter for internal rumination. So maybe to finish, I should read the poem one more time. So The Voice by Thomas Hardy. Woman, much missed how you called to me, saying that now you are not as you were, when you had changed from the one who was all to me, but as at first, when our day was fair. Can it be you that I hear? Let me view you then, standing as when I drew near to the town, where you would wait for me, yes, as I knew you then, even to the original air blue gown. Or is it only the breeze in its listlessness, travelling across the wet mead to me here, you being ever dissolved in existlessness, heard again never, far or near? Thus I, faltering forward, leaves around me falling, wind oozing thin from the thorn to Norwood, and the woman calling. So this is a really great poem, and more than that, it's a masterly use of the dactylic meter, which is a stressed syllable followed by two unstressed syllables. Stressed, unstressed, unstressed. That's the unit, and in a dactyl. And this is a masterly example of the use of a dactylic meter by Thomas Hardy. So thanks for watching, and remember, check out the podcast, like the video if it was useful to you, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot.